Hey, this is CJ, and I want to tell you about our new show, Minding Your Business After Hours. After Hours is your behind the scenes look into how we grow our ventures. We brainstorm, screen share, and work through the steps we're taking each week. Jump in the bullpen with us and learn new skills while getting stuff done. You can access After Hours by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/minding your business. This week on the Minding Your Business podcast, we talk about breaking upward, credibility through storytelling, AI twins, and a podcast milestone. Welcome to the Minding Your Business podcast. I'm CJ Jolliff with everybody's favorite co-host.
That's my cue. Aaron Jarrels.
Okay, yeah.
Hey, I just wasn't sure if you were going to put the favorite co-host thing in there.
Well, I mean, I'm going to change it up every week, but not on purpose. How about that?
No, I appreciate that.
Don't mind me. I'm going to get a little, hang on. For our ASMR crowd, this is for you. Ooh.
That's coffee pouring from coffee. A pour-over pitcher, not.
Yes, just in case you couldn't see that. That was not a restroom trip. So
correct. Okay. So this week has been one of those weeks where not everything has gone my way, but I've had some epiphanies, if you will, some aha moments where I'm like, oh, and it's funny because so often it's one of those things that when I start to tell you about it, you're going to go, oh, freaking finally, because I understand that you have been telling me these things. So anyway, it took the 100th time of me hearing it.
Okay.
So as you know, you kind of got me talked into checking out the app
vidIQ
thing for vidIQ, and I'm using it, and I'm selling out. Like I'm going for it completely. I'm doing the lessons. I'm doing when it says, hey, here's the thing, check your content. Are you focused on your avatar? Like finish this sentence, you know. I am this and I help this do this and whatever. And so I know we had worked on that a bunch of times, and every time I've always said like, well, I help couples and I help relationships and communication. It's hard to narrow that down because it's really, really broad. And fine. So I decided, you know what? I looked at the demographics on my YouTube channel. It's over 2/3 guys.
Okay.
And it used to be like 80% guys, but I have figured out that since I've been posting the new content, which is taking forever to gain any traction, because I've been kind of trying to go back and forth. Like, oh, I know this will relate to women. Oh, I know this will relate to men. Well, who's the audience that's going to look at my channel and go, this is perfect? Because half the time I'm a man and half the time I'm a woman. No. Couples aren't going to watch my channel. This isn't going to be a channel where both couples are like, oh, dude, you watch that video and the next week I'll watch the video and then we'll talk and we'll coordinate. And it's not going to happen. Realistically, especially when dealing with couples, there's so many things. I think we've had this conversation before. It's like when I teach or talk to, let's say the guy, and I'm like, listen, here's what you're going to want to do in order to communicate better. Do this. Well, it can be seen as obviously manipulation, right? Which could be either seen as positive or negative. And we've talked about that, but it's like watching a magician do a magic trick, an illusion, right? And they do it and you're like, oh my God, they took the handkerchief and they stuck it into their hand and it disappeared. Well, if you know they're wearing, again, I'm not trying to give away the trick, but if you know they're wearing a little rubber tipped finger and then now you look at them and you're like, come on.
Right.
You're totally trying to relate with me and talk to me and connect with me. Come on. Right. So it seems terrible. So you can't teach both sides the trick and have it work. So, but the guy, in order to learn to do the trick, only is doing the trick in order to connect more deeply with his partner. Like it's the thing she says she wants and he doesn't know how to do it. And I'm like, here's how you do it. And then, so anyway, it makes more sense to focus on one half of the couple so that I can get them. Okay. So either
back so what you're basically saying is like, even though you're trying to teach the guy how to connect with his woman, his girl, whatever,
Right. His
the
partner,
woman
sure.
can see that as manipulation.
Correct.
Okay.
And will, because they're like, oh, you're not being yourself. Them being themselves isn't winning any awards
Right.
because they're just everyone's so self-absorbed. It's like, well, the trouble most often in a couple, in a relationship that I find with the ones that I'm dealing with is the man, you ask the guy, like, what do you want? He's like, I have her.
Right.
I'm good.
Right.
And then you ask her and she's like, I want him to open up, be transparent, connect with me. He's not. He just goes to work, comes home, goes to work, comes home. Like he's not engaging. And I want that partnership. And we'll get into partnership and what I call partment. Men are partmentized. They partmentalize everything because they compartmentalize their feelings. They departmentalize tasks and duties within the relationship. So they are very much partmentalized, whereas
Yeah.
women are looking for partner. And there's a difference
Right.
between partner and anyway. So they're looking for different things. She's unhappy in the relationship. He's still happy. Why would he
Right.
change? He's still happy. He's very content. He has the woman he wanted. He's got the relationship he wanted. She's doing all the tasks he doesn't want to do. Why would he change? So he has no motivation to change until she up and outs the door. And then he's
Yeah.
like, what happened? We were so happy. And she's like, I have been trying to tell you I've been miserable for years.
Right.
But it doesn't connect because the pain points are completely different. So long story short, I'm going to talk with the guys. And I
Okay.
think the videos I'm going to make are going to help wake them up a little bit to see, A, you need to make some changes so that you can keep a partner happy with you or find a different partner. So that is a tough pill to swallow sometimes because very often I can't really talk to necessarily the women about that because if I do, then I'm like, hey, listen, here's what you're gonna have to do to get your man to, and they're like, I'm already tired of carrying him. I gotta like another child. And I'm
Right.
like, well,
Yeah.
let me give you a bunch of more stuff to do to help get him to the place where he needs to be in order for it makes more sense to help the guy.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm going to say something, and this is probably not something I should put out on the
Okay.
internet, but I'm going to. This has been a wise elder cousin of mine said this when I
Okay.
first got married, and I can see it in my own life, and maybe I'm just a simple man, you know. But
Okay.
most of the time, if I'm cranky, there are a couple solutions for that. And
Uh-huh.
this wise old sage told me, basically you're going to be hungry or horny. And if your wife recognizes that and can meet either one of or both of those needs, man, you're going to be in a pretty good mood for a while. And so like I get
We're
it. Like
we're
that's not all the
simpletons.
yeah, we're simple.
I
I
get it.
actually think
For the
that
most
it's
part,
so
I would
much
say
easier
generally
for the
speaking.
general. This is,
Yes. Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
a broad statement. I'm not trying to,
Of
disclaimer
course.
here, but I really think, man, women have it
What?
easier than the guys have it because women are complex and nuanced. And I've been married for
Uh-huh.
20 years and I'm still trying to figure out my wife,
Oh
you
my
know?
God. So I use that example in therapy that like if you're trying to figure out your wife, you have to become a professional locksmith,
Yeah.
right? And that's everything. That's intimacy, that's communication, that's sexual, that's all of it. It's you're now men, on the other hand, are a button. Look, like it's not hard. You want to
Yeah.
open that,
Yeah.
look, you
Yep.
push the button.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And frankly, if you want me
So
to do something, here are the couple ways you can manipulate me into doing that. I'm very
yeah,
easy.
and so
I'm
really,
trainable.
women don't need to be taught how to make a guy happy.
Right.
That's we're really are just, I mean,
We're like
simpletons.
dogs. Just
But
just train us, give us a
men,
treat, you
men
know.
definitely need help. Definitely, because we're all just kind of like, dude, I don't understand. What do you mean? Like a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense. It doesn't connect because we're like, well, that isn't how it works in my job. It's not how it works in like everywhere else is real easy. Yes, because that's all delineated that kind of falls into the compartmentalization. Well, this
Yes.
department is friends, this department is, and
Right.
then the trouble is that when you get to the department of relationship, close intimate relationship, romantic relationship, it's a partnership, which is 100% different. I've tried to explain it to people like you're not the CEO and she's not the CFO. You're both now 100% the pilots sitting next to each other.
Right.
Even men's brains have trouble with that. Well, yeah, but if she's holding the wheel, then I'm the co-pilot, she's the pilot. So I have to be the pilot, she has to be the co. No, you're both the pilot all of the time. She just has skill sets that are better than yours at certain things. Like, yes, maybe she flies over the ocean better. And yes, you fly over mountains better. Does that mean you're going to fly over every ocean, every mountain, and she's going to fly over? No, because you could just take the wheel when she goes, I'm exhausted. I need some help here. You do it. When you vice versa.
Yeah.
But there's going to be things that each of you are better at, taking care of the finances or the, whatever, household, whatever.
Right.
And I think those things can be shared. I can tell you, my wife hates vacuuming, and I love making vacuum lines. Now I get that my brain is broken and that the way I describe things defines it. I don't like vacuuming either because that's cleaning, and I don't enjoy cleaning. However, I enjoy making vacuum lines because now it looks awesome. Like I like placing that pattern on the floor, picking up all the pillows and blankets and then putting the lines.
Yeah.
So as long as I call it that, I love putting vacuum lines as often as I can, right?
Yes.
Because I really like it. And then you walk on in, footprints, I got to put some more vacuum line. Like for me, I enjoy that. So
that's functioning in your dysfunction. That's what that is.
So at any rate, that's where I'm at. And so when it comes to that, finding my ideal avatar, finding my stuff, I've kind of changed the focus is still on relationships, communication, all of that. But now I'm going to break it down even further and say, hey, listen, guys, I understand, like probably most of the guys that are watching my channel at this point got brought there through no contact. No contact is typically because the relationship has a problem, right? They've already broken up and they've initiated no contact, or the person that broke up with them or that they broke up, whoever, the breaker initiated no contact. And they're like, what does this mean? Okay, so I'm going to help you through that. I'm going to help you with what all of that means. And the breaking up, there's another way to look at breaking up. I think too often people look at breaking up and think, I have to have a breakdown. Now that the relationship's over, it's broken, everything is sad. And I think
like it's failure.
Yeah. And I'm like, I get it. And we can go into the whole Phoenix thing. Oh, yes, that burns down. Then you rise out as okay. But I think breaking up makes more sense. You're breaking up. You're becoming a better version of yourself if you will allow yourself to do that. Take the time to focus on you. Yes, you broke up. Yes, that relationship ended. You're not sad about them because it wasn't working out with them in the first place. Otherwise, it would still be a great relationship. But it's not about them.
Right.
It's about who you feel like you were in the relationship is now gone. So you've lost a sense of yourself. So do you want to be a worse version of yourself, or do you now decide to become a better version? I'm here to help people become a better version and then attract the mate they deserve.
Oh, that's so good.
So that's going to be the point of where I'm going with this. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I was like, you know what? I was going back through the vidIQ. Sorry, this is going to bring full circle. Went back to the vidIQ part where I had to find it said, find your competition. And I'm like, I don't know. I've never been able to find competition who's as broad as I am.
So you're like, I'm so great. There's no one doing what I'm doing.
Right. And so I'm like, how do I find this? So I looked up some specific terms. And now I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, because what I'm about to say is going to come from my completely biased opinion.
Okay.
And my position, my perspective. And it's only because I've heard so many times from you. I've heard it so many times that it echoed so loudly in my, let's say, empty head that it came out and my wife heard it. Your voice.
Oh boy.
As it echoed in my head, she heard it because she said the same exact thing. Like, isn't that what CJ said to do along? And I'm like, ooh. So let me tell you what happened. I'm searching for a direct competition, and I find somebody who's like, has a channel that's like, listen, I'm going to help you with your relationship. I'm going to help you save it. I'm going to help you do this. And then I'm like, okay, interesting. I look, he's got 1.5 million subscribers. Like he's doing okay. Right.
Yeah.
And, so I'm like, okay. So I watch his little introductory video, and his introductory video straight up is like, listen, I'm not a coach. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a guy who nearly lost his wife.
Ooh.
And he's like, let me tell you my story. There I was sitting in my car out in front of the house after having cheated. And I'm like, this story is just a little bit too perfect. Sitting in my car, and I come to this epiphany and this realization. I've got to get her back, and I've got to change me in order to do it. So I start reading and absorbing and soaking up all of these books and all of this knowledge. And it worked so well for me that I knew I had to share it with you, because if I can help one person who, and I'm just like, bro, you couldn't have scripted that. If you were writing a book about how would somebody in the perfect world put this together with a transformative story that would connect with people, that would allow them to, whether it's accurate or not. Like, so anyway, while I'm telling this story to my wife, and I'm like, can you believe this guy's not even a therapist? Nothing. He's just reciting stuff he's getting out of books. Wait a minute. Isn't that what I do? I'm just reciting the stuff I've gotten out of books at school.
Right.
I just paid for my education. He got his for free. Shoot.
Yeah.
And she's like, uh-huh. And doesn't his story sound just a little bit too good? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, but it's the story that sells. It isn't what he's telling you that he learned from the books. No one really going to follow him for that. He didn't say, I'm going to teach you how to do this, 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 this. He said, I'm going to help you if I can.
Yeah.
Follow along. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So there is something to be said about people who understand the media within which they work.
Yeah.
And they're not clouded by over focusing on their credibility, their accomplishments. He's straight up saying, I have no credibility. I have no accomplishment. But what
Which makes you trust him even more.
What I do have is this story. And if you're interested in making my story your story, and I'm like, oh my God, whether or not, and I'll tell you, just looking at the pictures and the stuff with him, like, and all those kids like piled up on, and I'm like, you sure seem awfully happy for a woman who knows you cheated, regardless of how good you patched things up. It's never going to be as happy as you're portraying it.
I would probably push back on that, but I guess it just depends on the people, situationally, right?
It honestly isn't about, I can tell you right now that the happiness in that marriage isn't about what he did or didn't do after the fact. It's 100% based on her ability and belief.
Right.
Believe that what he's doing now reflects accurately who he is and what he stands for.
Right. It's less, I mean, you have to earn back trust.
It's at least equal parts. So for him to be like, hey, this is the thing, this is all you have to do, is sort of misleading, because if you can't, it doesn't matter. He could go the rest of his life and never even notice another woman. It doesn't matter. He's still a cheating asshole if that's what she believes.
Right.
So it's really a two-way street. It really is more than just he's putting up, but he got 1.5 million people following along being like, I want that for my story. So I'm like, and he's like, and I'm not selling a course. I'm not doing it. Although if any of you are interested, I do have a friend who has a course, and then he's partnering with them and doing it. And I'm like, of course you are. But
that's a pretty good way to do it too. Well, I mean,
it's genius, because now he talks that person up and says, I took that course and that definitely helped me. And so now it's part of his story.
Yep. Well,
so and it's like networking
groups
again.
Yeah, like if you walk into a networking group or lunch or breakfast or whatever it is, and you just start telling everybody how great you are,
no one's going to believe you.
No one's going to believe you. But if you go in as a pair and you play the buddy system,
and you're talking that person up,
you're talking them up, they're talking you up, man. I've been a part of that, and it wasn't even in a manipulative way. It was literally, it was genuine, and it worked really well. But I think so. What I'm hearing in your story is that that the story is where people connect, and then through that connection, he's built trust, and now he can speak into their lives. But if you just try to tell someone what to do without connecting, they're not going to listen.
And so that's my current hang up. And so I need your help with it, because my wife and I also listened to a podcast, and it was talking about everyone's origin stories
Okay.
and how 98% of all origin stories are bullshit anyway. Like the dinner party that the guys who started, and I don't mean to trash this since I'm trying to use their platform, but the two guys that started YouTube at a dinner party and had a video and then wanted to upload it, and they've admitted like that is an absolute fabrication. It
Right.
didn't happen, but it made for a very telling story in the beginning when they were trying to establish themselves as YouTube.
Yes.
So I'm like,
And like the garage
I don't.
startup, that's been
Oh
said
God.
many, many times, and very few times is it actually true.
And it is right. It may be once, but everybody else is like, that's a good story. I'm going to do that too. And be
Right.
so that whole bootstrapping thing. And it's like, well, come on. You actually had investors give you several $1,000,000 to do the thing. And they're like, yeah, but
Right.
the idea, when I first thought of it, I was sitting in my garage having a cigarette. And I'm like, that doesn't mean you built the business out of
Right.
like, come on. So my question is, if I'm trying to help guys reconnect with their wives, I can tell you that most of the things that I tell my clients are things that I've had to go through and do.
Yeah.
We weren't on the verge of breaking up. We weren't on the I
Right.
didn't sit in my
Right.
car crying. Like it
Right.
wasn't that. But I can tell you that our ability to communicate with one another at 8 years ago versus now, it's strange because I have conversations with people and it's too late now. I've already transformed,
Yeah.
right? Our relationship already is what it is. So when I'm talking to people, they're like, yeah, but I don't know if I can trust that person. I'm like, have they ever given you any reason not to trust them? And they're like, not really. And I'm like, oh, well, then you're good. And they're like, no, because I haven't built that trust yet. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm in a position with a person now who is me, who isn't me, but is me, like has 100% complete power of attorney,
Right.
like is more legally more me than I am.
Okay.
Anywhere we go, I don't even have to go. She can just go and sign for both of us, do the whole thing. I'm 100%. I 100% trust her. She has every code, every single password, everything
Yeah.
that is me, she already knows. Like I have nothing to hide.
Yes.
Because why?
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, there's some things where I thought, I don't know but I'm with somebody who's like, you know what? We've all got those things. Like it is what it is. If you like to eat, chocolate on your mushrooms, go ahead. Whatever.
If you like to watch videos of children getting hurt on YouTube,
yeah, I don't
not seriously hurt, but just, running into a wall. Yeah.
But yeah. Those kind of things, like I have nothing, like I feel like there's nothing. She's like, you know what? If there's ever anything comes up, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And so what's crazy is having that freedom, knowing there's no wall I can't cross, makes me not want to push.
Right.
Like it's so crazy that so often people are like, no, everybody pulls to the end of their leash. And I'm like,
right.
Until you have your own leash, it's an invisible leash. You just know I'm not comfortable with that. So I'm not going to do that. That doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
If I get to that place where I'm like, this feels uncomfortable, you know who I want to talk about this with? You go back and you talk to your partner and they're like, dude, I know I had a similar experience with this other thing or whatever. And then you're like, okay, holy shit. So often it isn't, it's not the thing. And I know I say this all the time. It's not the thing. It's what it means.
Right.
And when we think we have to hide it because we're unsure, then the thing meaning becomes much bigger and much scarier than it would be if you just talked about it. So anyway, that's where I'm at currently. That's using the vidIQ. I'm absolutely loving it. We'll talk a little bit more, maybe after hours. I need some help using the fire cut because as you well know, my way of talking or my the way that I verbally communicate, fire cut isn't prepared. It wasn't trained on my type of speaking.
Right.
Let me put it that way. So I know that I make weird pauses in weird places and weird silences. And when those are cut out, it's like, what the hell? He sounds like a robot. Sure. So anyway, I want some of those cut out because sometimes I pause for too long. Yeah. Sometimes it's for emphasis, whatever. But
no, the funny thing about your we'll tackle it. The funny thing about your speech pattern is it runs together until it pauses, and then it pauses for a long time. So in editing your videos, there is there's the pause, which makes it
God.
really easy to edit. And then there's the I'm not going to take a breath between all these words and they're all going to be strung together and I have no place to make a cut. And I'm like, that's right where I
Yes.
wanted to cut it, you know.
Yes.
But that's most people too. Your
Yeah.
pauses are for dramatic effect. And I know half the time you're doing it on purpose, like that.
Right.
And the other
Yes.
half the time it's your ADD and it's taking you a different direction and
Yes, because
you
I'm
know,
thinking about something else and I go, nope. And then I come back to this path and then I start from there. Or I
yeah,
go, yep. And then I switch paths. So yes. So yeah, it is something that my brain does. I understand.
it's all good.
I understand it's not the most comfortable thing.
No, I
But
find it
again,
entertaining. It's just not easy to edit to. Well, part of it isn't edit easy. Look, there are
sure.
people that don't have that pause and they don't have the dramatic effect.
Yeah.
I like it because it's always easy to tell where the most important part of the thing you're
uh,
talking about is.
yes. And I understand it's because I'm talking from my head, but I'm talking in yours. I know that sounds stupid, but I don't feel what I try and
Right.
focus on is I am using my voice to be in your head,
Yeah.
right?
Y-
So I'm trying to paint a picture, and there are times where I need your imagination, the voice in your head to fill in the blanks because I don't want to put words in your mouth or in your head. I want you to put the words in your head.
Right.
So I want to say something and then leave it, let you fill it in, and then move on. And so
Right.
then very often people say, well, remember when you said this, this, this? And I'm like, no. But that's because I left it open to interpretation. I wanted you to make it makes the most sense for you
This is
when you
a
come to
very
your story.
meta moment because you're talking about your voice in my head and I'm wearing earphones and you're doing the
So then it's
pause
even more
thing
in there.
at the
Yeah.
same time and it's very entertaining.
Yeah.
Um
But I think that's what speech is for. Is I have an idea in my head and I'm trying to get that idea into your head. And too often what we end up doing is we put too much emphasis on that's not what I said.
mm,
And it's like, who cares? It's what the other person heard. You need to be thinking about what are they hearing. And it's interesting because what I find most often is the people that do exactly that, you misuse it. And then they really cling to that's not what I said, knowing that the other person is going to misinterpret what they said so they can get away with it. And
yeah.
that's not what I'm looking for. I want people to say and make sure that the meaning, the thing they have, the picture or the event, the whatever, the meaning of it gets transmitted, not the words. Which is why I like to talk in pictures. I know I say that all
Yeah.
the time. I'll use analogies and picture because I want the idea over there. I don't just want the words. Sometimes I want the words because sometimes I like to jack with people, but for the most part, I don't. Most of the time, I want my
Yeah,
actual,
says the puppet master. Yeah.
yeah,
I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
I personally find communication very difficult,
Oh
which is
yeah.
why I think I, you know, I don't know if I talk a lot on the podcast. I don't think I do, but in person, you know how I am.
Mhm.
And I have to tell myself to stop talking in situations.
Sure.
Um, but it's like I'm trying to relay this idea. I'm
Mhm.
trying to take this thing from my head and place it in yours, you
Right.
know, and I find it so difficult. And especially if it has to do with feelings. Like
Oh,
if
yes.
like I
This
don't
is
know if maybe it's
why
just not being in touch emotionally or whatever, but like this is a bad example, but I like if I really like a piece of music, like if I really like this song and it makes me
Mhm.
feel a way, and I don't really know how it makes me feel, but man, I really like this
Right.
song, and I'm trying to like get you to listen to it, and say we're in the car and I'm vibing out. I don't know, like
You're you're
I'm
having the
playing
feeling.
drums on the steering wheel, right?
Okay.
And I'm just like,
Mhm.
yeah, and I just love like, and I whatever I'm feeling, I'm trying to get you to feel, and you're like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's okay. That is one of the more
It's like
frustrating
art.
things.
Somebody looking at a picture and you're like, yeah, it's squares and lines and paint. Cool.
Right.
And the other person is crying, right?
Yes.
So it I get it. And oh my God, dude, words are definitely hard.
Mhm.
And then especially when you're trying to transmit feelings. The trouble is most of the time you're not ever sharing feelings with anyone other than your significant other.
True.
Just as a guy, right?
Yeah,
Now,
right,
women do. They share in that emotional
right.
contact. We don't. We most more just kind of stay on black and white, just logical thinking, just let's just task oriented, let's just move through life.
Yeah.
So the only place you get that experience is with your significant other. And since we're not good at it and they are honed and polished at it, there is lots and lots of room for miscommunication.
Mm.
And it's crazy because you go, well, this is the assumption that most people make. You know what I meant. And then I expect you to jump to the conclusion that I came to already, because I've been thinking about this for a while. And I'm going to give you a couple of words, and you should naturally just jump to the same conclusion I did.
Right.
And then when they don't, then you're like, what the hell? Why are we, what is this about? Like, we can't even figure out why we're arguing or why we're fighting. And it's because you're not even coming at it from the same place.
Well, I
That's
think we
how
could spend a
a lot
couple
of time on
hours
it.
just talking about that. And I agree with you. I think that like societally, culturally, men are not really allowed to, I don't know, talk about their feelings sounds like a really, soft way of talking about it. And that's not what I mean. I think what I mean is more like we're sold this fallacy that we're supposed to be islands, that whatever struggles we're going through or whatever things that are in our head that we're worried about, whatever, that we just kind of
Mhm.
have to lock it down, grin and bear it because that's how you're a strong man. And I just disagree with that wholeheartedly. And I just know that doesn't, if you keep everything in, it doesn't go anywhere. It just stays and it boils over and it's going to come out and spill onto the people around you, the people that you're closest to and you love, your family,
Right.
and it's just not healthy. So I
Yeah.
think you have to even like, so this is like not a plug for therapy, but like it is, it
Yeah,
really
yeah,
is.
yeah.
That's why
No,
talking to
I understand.
someone is, I think, so incredibly, and it can be a friend. It doesn't have to be a therapist,
Right.
but man, you also might have dumb friends. So don't, be careful who you open up to.
Oh
Um,
man, and friends are typically our echo chambers, right? You
right.
want something different, but you've got the same friends you've always had who all
Yes.
think the same way you think because you're all alike
Yes.
in certain ways. And then you like say something, they're like, "Yep," and you're like, "Yeah, see, I got confirmation. This
Yeah.
is weird. Why won't it work?" It won't work because it's flawed thinking in the first
Right.
place. Just because
Right.
they agree with you, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, agreed. And I think too, especially at this stage of my life, I realize I'm moving, switching stages, right? I now mark the next box on the age thing.
yeah.
And I'm starting to really see, and again, I don't mean to get all metaphysical, but the mind body connection of carrying everything, it starts to, you're carrying it and it starts to physically come out. Had this conversation with she doesn't like when I talk about her on here, but with my wife, and she was like, stress is hitting me different now. And I go, yeah, you're getting, again, she's way younger than me and way more vivacious, but it's starting to hit her different. She's like, I used to love being stressed out all of the time. Like I thrived in stress, and now stress feels heavy and it's exhausting. And we talked a little bit about the function of stress and the type of stress that we're talking about. And she was talking about work stress. And I'm like, yes, I get that. But she used to work 60 hours a week at one specific job. And that stress was one specific stress. And now
Yeah.
she's working like 3 or 4 different jobs and having to switch lanes all day long and answer an
Right.
email about this, but now get back onto that, and then helping with this, and then taking care of the, boy when he's home at on spring break, and the all of that constant switching lanes, switching lanes, switching lanes. I go, yes, that's because you believed that you were multitasking and capable of multitasking. And I know I've explained this before, but we don't multitask.
Right.
We task in series. And
Yeah.
so she's got a series. She's much faster at switching series and changing from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. But there is a cost
Right.
when you switch lanes, when you change. And when she's doing that many things, that many days in a row, by the fourth, fifth day, she's mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. And I'm not saying I told you so, but remember when I was doing like 4 jobs at a time, like trying to make ends meet, that I was telling you how difficult it is. She's like, but all those are easy jobs. Yes, but they all take a toll, and the
Yeah.
switching costs us more than we think.
Yep.
And so, anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that.
No,
But
like I mean, I think of it as like spinning plates. You know how like there
uh-huh,
used to be the people that would they like go on, a late night show and they have plates on a stick or something or on their
right.
feet, toes, and it's like you can only spin one plate at a time, right? But
And
that
then you let it
momentum will
spin,
keep
and
it
then
going, and so you
right.
can go over and spin another plate, and that is the way I think of multitasking, and I'm exactly, well, maybe not exactly, but this is my experience. I also don't change lanes well. Like
No,
if I'm in creative mode, I'm in creative mode. If I'm in GSD mode, get
uh,
stuff done mode, then I'm in that. And I would say the creativity is gone and it's
dude,
very pragmatic and just do get it done.
man.
But making that switch in a day is really difficult for me. So the way I've laid out my schedule is like today is podcast day, right? So
Uh-huh.
Fridays, it's all podcast all day long.
Right,
Mondays are niche and this new project. Like I have a
right,
thing that I'm working on every day. And then if I have to, I jump in on emergencies, put
right.
out fires. But I can't switch and do all the things in one day. It doesn't work for me.
Right. It's so funny because even this week, 2 days ago, when we were talking about this was on, what is today? Friday. So it was Wednesday. Because I had to stay home because of the blizzard.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, you remember when I used to talk so much crap about CJ disappearing for a week at a time? I go, yeah. She's like, I now envy him because she's like, if I had all of the stuff I knew I needed and I could post up in a cave and get all of that stuff done, I could get a month's worth of stuff, maybe 2 months worth of stuff done in 5 days
Yeah.
if I had no other distractions whatsoever.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I know. All the stuff where we used to be like, what the heck? Now I'm like, dude, I get that. And I do it because that's what, like my phone, I don't even have my phone. My phone's over plugged in somewhere else and it's
Yeah.
on work mode. I
Right.
have no idea if I'm getting any texts, any calls, no emails, no, nothing. I have it
Yeah.
on do not disturb because when I'm focused on a task, I now see the value in that staying focused. I can now stay focused for 30 minutes versus it taking 22 minutes to get back into the mode after being
Right.
distracted.
Oh man.
I can't afford to be distracted. I
Yeah.
set an alarm for when I'm done.
Focus is momentum, right?
Uh-huh.
So the more you're focused, the more you can stay focused and that hyper focus or whatever.
You get it to
And
that
when you
flow and then
break it, it takes a long time to build up that speed again, that momentum. It's so difficult to the point where I've had to learn this and my wife has had to learn this too. I didn't realize I was like this. Now I can look backwards, but I remember when I first started, the business, this would have been first couple years, like 2006,
right.
somewhere in there. She would call me like during the day, just being
Uh-huh.
like
Friendly.
sweet and how are you doing and just and like just an amazing person, and I'm like, I answer the phone like, hey, what's up?
Hurry.
Oh, blah 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 blah. Well, blah blah
Uh-huh.
blah blah blah. And I didn't realize I was being a jerk, but I was being a jerk, not on
Right.
purpose, but it's like I am in focused like work mode, and you are now pumping the brakes on my productivity and my focus and getting off the
Uh-huh.
phone, that it's like shake it off and trying to get back into that thing. And so she's learned how I am and I've learned how I am, and we're both, you know uh
You use it
I
and
just
you
sound like a
use that
problem. I don't.
knowledge.
Yeah.
You use that knowledge to make your relationship better. Because if she's
Yeah.
like, you know what, you got to get over that.
Yes,
You
and
have
I
to,
do,
and you're
and I
like,
do. I need to wake up and like, hey, give you my attention. But the way around that too is like if she calls or if it's comes in and I'm working, give me like 2 minutes. Let me get through this thought at a good stopping point, and then you'll have all my attention. You know,
right.
because you know how it is. Like if you can't, if you stop in the middle of a thought,
Nope.
and it's like I'm never gonna find that thought again. So
Right. No, I know that.
I
That's why
know.
I
Yeah.
often will stop people in their thought and then move on, change the subject so that it
Yeah.
comes back to them later and it becomes their own thought. So,
So speaking of thoughts, first
yes.
of all, I love your breaking up, um,
Okay. Yeah, I was going
way
to
of
ask
looking
you
at it.
what you
Yeah,
thought about that.
I like the idea because you're not breaking down. You're not. It's not failure. It's breaking up, and it reminds me of like, I don't know if I heard this somewhere or if it's something I just had written down, like
Okay.
um, failing forward.
Yeah, I think I've heard
Using
that, or I've heard
like
you say that before.
using like not everything that I've ever done has been successful, but I try to learn from the things that I failed at. So then,
Right.
like, okay, what was wrong with this? What can I tweak? What can I do better? And that's a whole idea of iteration, testing, making it better, launching a new thing or, new
Right.
version. And so it just really makes me think of like business, right? So it's the same thing. Like, if you
Yep.
use that as an opportunity, the catalyst, we'll say, for change, catalyst for success, for forward momentum, upward growth, whatever.
Right.
I love it. I think that works really, really well. And I am excited to see where you go with it. So,
Okay. I
congratulations,
appreciate
sir.
that. Yeah. I feel like I have a direction finally and a person I'm talking to. So I've made a list of things that I think I've got a list. It keeps growing and shifting and changing,
Yeah,
morphing a little bit as
yeah.
I think about it. And I think, what would someone in that exact, like if I had a client, which I have several, but I'm like, oh my God, just speaking with my client like this. Okay, I need to make that another video. And so then
Mhm.
so I think I'm up to 29 or 30 videos in a series that I think move people through the process of realizing, yes, you feel like garbage
Yeah,
right now because this hurts, and you realize
right.
that the relationship has died. That isn't the big part. The big part is that who you believed you were, because of who you were in relation to that relationship,
Mhm.
is now gone because that
Right.
person's gone. And you're like, I don't know who I am.
You're gonna have a
I'm like,
crisis of identity. Yeah,
yeah. So you're having that identity crisis. And then you're like, now who do I need to become? And I'm like, who you've always been. Like,
right.
let me shine the
Mhm.
flashlight on you so you can look in the mirror and go, oh yeah, I forgot. I do enjoy these things because, oh my God. So I'll cut it off and we'll end it. But um my wife told me that she was listening to a podcast about this comedian who came up with this thing, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And apparently it hits everybody like a ton of bricks. And so he's been tracking how many people break up after hearing this simple joke,
Okay.
and which is an observation or an opinion. And he's upwards of 30,000 at this point.
Oh my gosh.
People bring their parents to his comedy show to hear him say this joke so that they'll self-reflect and separate.
Wow.
And it is his belief, the comedian's belief, is that we are all, our lives, everyone's lives, every single person, their life, their personhood, who they are, is pieces of a puzzle. And your life is made up of these pieces of puzzle. And when you place all of those puzzle pieces out and you find the wrong person, you either have to cut out part of yourself to fit them in, or you're forcing them to become something they're not.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that is so it. Like so many couples I'm talking to are like, listen, I don't understand what else I have to do. I've already stopped. And they're like describing all of the places in their life they've cut out and cut away so that this
Right.
person can fit in there. And I'm like, maybe it's not all of those things were the problem. Maybe it's your choice of person was the problem.
Yeah.
But we think, well, I've already invested time into the wrong person and
Right.
I don't want to. Now it would just be a waste.
Right.
It's always a waste, and it's always going to be a waste. How much more do you want to waste?
Yeah. I gotta say, I like that's where like that's kind of falling on deaf ears. Like, I don't feel that because that's not been my experience. I think I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Married my
Oh,
best
no, not
friend.
me personally. Although, not me personally in this relationship. Let me put it that way.
Right. Right. Well, and I'm not to say like, dude, marriage is hard,
Hmm?
and
Oh, yeah.
as great as our relationship is, we've both agreed, and this is not in like a mean way. We both
Right.
agreed that if the other one, died or whatever, like neither one of us is interested in getting married again. Like
Yeah.
I've had my person. I'm good. You know, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to go through, the whole process of searching and finding someone. And yeah, I'm
Right.
good. You know,
Yeah.
and I just don't think it would live up to what I've had.
Right.
So, um, but that is a very good. I can definitely see it because I have known
You
many,
can
many
see it when you
friends
start
that
looking
had to
at other
change and
people's
had to do this, and it's like that's not what a relationship should be.
right. And then you feel bad
Mm.
for them. And then
Right.
they're like, I need help. I want to talk to you about my relationship. And you just want to be like, it shouldn't be that hard.
Oh my gosh. Like,
It shouldn't be that
yes.
uncomfortable.
I'm gonna say
Like,
something else that's polarizing because why not? This is my platform.
it's your podcast. Go for it.
Dude, I like golf.
Yep.
And one of my things that I haven't done in a long time, but I used to go like once a quarter, I'd go on a golf trip, a weekend away with a buddy.
Yeah.
And that was for a long time, that actually was therapy for me, and for
Okay.
him. Right.
Right.
And so, because you just go away, it's 2.5 days of just golfing and like zero responsibility,
Right.
and anyway, and letting off steam, right? Because we're both doing it. What's funny is the drive, because we would always go to the beach. The drive
Okay.
to the beach, it was nonstop talking. There was no air. And
Uh-huh.
then the drive
Where
home
you're
was silent.
decompressing,
Yeah. And the
letting
drive
out
home
all
was
the
silent because we've already said everything and we're just like relaxed.
right.
Um, anyway, it makes me think of friends that I've known or people that I've known where it's like, hey, do you guys want to do whatever? We want to go do this thing. And it doesn't matter what the thing was. And I want to be fair. It could just be the way that these friends said those things. But like, let me talk to my wife. I need to get permission.
Right.
Oh, man. I mean, like, you're a grown ass man. I will ask my wife if we're doing anything and
Right.
see if she's cool out of respect. Right.
Uh-huh.
So maybe I'm just choosing my words in a more, you know,
No, I swear, this
I
goes
just,
back to the
ugh.
idea that the way we describe things defines it, and
Yes.
then it determines how we feel about it. If
Right.
you say, and he may well have said it once in a joking manner, and then because he said it and created the neural pathway, and then says it and
Right.
says, and then pretty soon it's not a joke, and he has to say it. It's true.
It's like the guy that refers to his wife as the old ball and chain,
And this is
And
why
it's like, that's
he talked to
terrible,
his
first of
wife, and
all.
she's like, "Feel like I got another kid."
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and so would Darcy. I mean, she has 3 boys. She has Christian, she has our dog, and she has me. And it's just,
Right.
I
So,
don't
and
envy
you're all a
her
lot of work.
because I'm
Yeah.
I'm maturity level of, a 15-year-old. But all that to say, I mean, I'm not trying to stir up problems, but if either person in a relationship is lording over the other person, that's not healthy.
Yeah,
Again,
it's
like,
so crazy because even as you say it, I think, yeah, when I'm gonna go do something, I kind of want to run it by my wife. If I ever thought she was going to ask me for permission, I would be like, something's off in our relationship
right.
because I don't want to feel like the massa. Like I
Right,
don't.
exactly. Ugh.
Ugh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So,
Right? If she wants to go do something, it's like, "Oh my god, I really wanna go. Is there any way I can go to this?" They're like, or is there something else happening, or is there something we can work out? I'm like, "Go. We'll figure
yeah,
it out. Like, go have a
yeah,
great time."
right.
But yeah, that's crazy.
Well, I
There's
think it
not a
goes
lot of
back
things
to what
that
you
I
were
wanna go
saying
and do, but
about a partnership, right?
yeah,
It's not like you're doing this together, right? It's
yeah.
just I
I
don't know.
feel like I do feel like I might have to ask permission if I wanted to buy a new big screen TV
Well, yeah,
because
but that's
that's
again, that's having
carving out
parameters.
finances and do but it's really about, hey, does it make sense for us as a family to make this purchase? That's a little bit different than, can I
Right.
get permission?
Yeah,
I
do
don't
I
know. I
like
hate
you
the way
don't have
that
to do the
feels.
same thing if you wanna stop and get McDonald's on the way home,
Right.
right? I get that.
Right.
So anyway, I apologize to all the people that I've offended. It was not intended, and you are a beautiful and unique snowflake. And I didn't mean that
Mhm.
condescendingly either. I'm just going to
No,
stop talking. I'm going to shift
honestly,
lanes.
I've gotten to the point where I know that I am me, and
Yeah,
my beliefs are mine,
right.
and my opinion is mine, and your opinion is yours.
And it
And
may not match, but I
I
respect you and your opinion, man. Like, I'm not trying to, you said this a couple episodes ago. I'm not trying to convince you of anything.
right. I'm not trying to
Right.
convince you of anything. And here's the thing. I don't necessarily respect your opinion.
I
You,
respect
yes,
your right to have an opinion.
but absolutely.
Yes.
I respect your autonomy to have your own opinions and your own beliefs.
Yeah.
And no judgment there. Like you can believe the silliest of things and it's like,
Yes.
okay, man, because realistically that's your truth. That's what you believe. What am
Yeah.
I going to come in and be like, "No, that's not I don't want you doing that to me."
Yeah. Yeah.
But honestly, too, I'm so inquisitive. I'm like, "Dude, tell me
Right.
why you believe that." Like, and I don't mean that in a mean way,
Right.
because from where I sit, I cannot see any possible, like in the realm of possibility, how that could ever make sense to anyone. So
Yeah.
please enlighten me because there's something you know that I don't know,
Right. I'm gonna
you
like
know?
avoid all the things because there's like 3 subjects I want to bring up that fit into that mold. I'm just gonna move on.
We'll have to talk
Um,
about it another time.
yeah,
But
maybe
so yeah,
on After Hours. So I have a couple things I want to bring up. I want to talk a little bit about. Are you familiar with the term AI twin or like AI avatar?
yeah,
Okay, so I want to
sort
talk a
of.
little bit about that. But I
Oh
got an
my
interesting
God, dude, I
notification.
wish. But man, okay, let's talk. If we're going to talk about that after hour, let's talk about that after hours
Well, that's I
because
mean,
you're not
we can talk about
talking
it
about
before then.
creating just an avatar that
Yeah.
looks
I'm
like
talking about well, I'll get into it. So, but I got an interesting notification a couple days ago. It's a little celebratory moment
okay,
for minding your business.
okay,
It's a milestone, dare I say. Um,
okay.
we are this podcast has ranked number 238 in the business category in New Zealand. So to all
Okay.
you listening in New Zealand, man, we appreciate you and
Welcome and thank you
welcome.
so
Yes,
much.
it's a very
Holy cow. First of all, I want to come and visit.
yes,
Like really
absolutely.
bad. And, and again, it's not because of Lord of the Rings, although Lord of the Rings is beautiful countryside, but I'm like, dude, yeah, no, I've needed to become close to that side of the planet and I would
Yeah,
love to go there and just see it.
yeah, yeah. I would love to go to Australia and New Zealand
Yeah,
and
I don't know that I
Italy.
could afford it. I've seen it and it looks a little expensive.
Yeah,
And so I need some we need some minding your business money to be
yeah.
able
There
to
we go.
afford to go. So
Well, if and we could probably turn it into a write off too. We could do some
right off
workshops
the trip,
there. Yeah.
go and like
Yeah.
talk and interview some business owners and some startups.
Oh, so AI twin. I was just we're both in this season of discovery and
Right?
I mean I got to tell you, dude, it is a whirlwind trying to keep up with all the things that are constantly
Changing
changing
and growing. Yeah.
to the point where I'm like, man, my week has been a unsuccessful, unproductive week.
Okay.
Partly because of that, partly just because family stuff has gotten in the way in a good way, good family stuff.
Right.
But
Okay.
um, so, but I ran across this AI twin thing,
Okay.
and so what it would be is like you record video, you take pictures, you speak, and it is a digital version, a digital avatar, an AI avatar of you or
Right.
your whoever, right?
Right.
And it is creepy. It is, and there are a lot of people out there doing it,
Right.
but it's they're not all
Equal.
vendors are created equal. Some are
Right.
really really good at the making it look like you, making it look like your mannerisms, but maybe
Okay.
not as good in the lip sync. Some are really
Okay.
really good at the lip sync, but the mannerisms are robotic.
Okay.
So
Oh, you're
um
talking about a video avatar.
a
Because
video
I just
avatar.
we just
So
recently listened to a podcast about a voice avatar, and that one was really intense,
yeah. So it is,
where
it's
he
that
made
same thing.
himself him,
Yeah,
and
plus
then
video.
would have it make phone calls and call his friends and call
Yep.
therapists and call like all of these different people and talk as if it was him. And they go, if it weren't for the latency, I would have believed you were actually him, not
Right.
the avatar, not
Right.
the AI version of him.
Yeah. So
And
I've seen people do it with video. Like it is crazy. So like in this situation right here, you wouldn't
okay,
necessarily know except for the latency, right? You wouldn't
right.
necessarily know if it was me or if it was my AI twin.
Yeah. Well,
It's creepy.
here's the crazy thing is I already talk like a freaking AI, right? With my weird pauses and latency, I have that issue. Like
Right.
it wouldn't be difficult for AI to pretend to be me because when it just sort of stares at the camera and then
Yeah.
starts talking,
Yeah.
there you're like, yeah, that could be him. I don't know. I'm not
So,
sure I could watch a video of myself as an AI and not
well,
and know the difference.
and that's what makes me a little uncomfortable, right? You
I've
know,
watched
because
videos of myself I've recorded and
right,
went to
I'm
edit them, and I'm like, who is this?
I just it like makes me think of like digital footprint and like all the stuff. You know, like as soon as we release this episode, I mean, we're streaming it, right? So it's already out
Right.
there. The things that I've said today are technically exist on the internet forever, right?
Yep.
And that's
Infinitely.
fine because I'll take ownership of those things that I said, you know, and
Mhm.
if I'm wrong, then I can apologize later on. But what the heck in the what if my AI says something, my AI twin says something that is not something that I agree with, or I mean, I don't know, but then it looks like it's me. It just makes it's creepy. But that being said, I have
Mhm.
to look at it from a lens of how can this benefit my business, right?
Right.
So, you
Right.
know,
Right.
just some of the like uses, you know, customer support automation. So you could train an AI twin to be your customer service rep, and
Yeah.
it could be phone, it could be on like through a chatbot.
Right.
Um, Personalized
And what's
marketing, I really like this one. So let's say you created a landing page that for whatever we're selling a course, right?
uh
And this course, whatever it is, you know, um, whatever the subject matter is, the people that sign up for it, they're checking it out. When they get to that landing page, there's a cookie that says, you know, what their name is, and it actually plays a video that is AI twin. It's let's say it's me, and I'm on the page and I'm, you know, talking, hey Deborah, so glad you could be here today, blah blah blah. Here's what we can do, blah blah blah, and it can take any of those variables that we've passed on and fill in. It's like a, you know, a digital placeholder in the
Right.
copy or a
Right.
merge field, you know,
Right.
and a variable, and it says those things just like it was a pre-recorded video. So remember when we were doing some stuff with the
Yep.
burnout course and we
Yep.
were doing,
And
and
I
each
would
time
do
you
and
would have
take
to
and
record
record
a new
each and every
video,
single
right?
one for everybody. Yeah.
Yes, but this you only have to, you actually don't even have to record the video. You
Right.
just type out the script and it
And
reads
then
it
put it
in your
and then it just
voice.
auto does it. Yeah.
Yes. And so again, some services are better than others. Another good use, training and onboarding. So if you have, you know, training new staff,
Yeah.
you don't have
Oh
to
my
do it
god.
over and
I
over and over.
I do follow one guy who I'm convinced is AI
Okay.
on YouTube. And he does really great videos, but I'm convinced it's AI. But what's strange is I watched each of the videos and I'm like, no, yep, no, yep, wait, no, yep. I can't tell. There
Yeah.
are times where it's like the mouth's not right or
Right.
something's not right, but then he'll do something and I'm like, nope, obviously that's a person. If it was an AI, it would just be doing this,
Yeah.
maybe hands and doing something, but it wouldn't like scratch a thing,
Right.
wouldn't do something obvious and I'm like, maybe
Or
it
would it?
isn't. Maybe it's not. But what it strikes me interesting is I think that he's recording the video, maybe saying the words, maybe not saying the words, scratching, doing stuff, and then the AI, just like it does with the eyes, it'll move your eyes to look at the camera instead
Yep.
of the screen,
Yep.
and then it can make your mouth do the talking that he already pre-scripted and wrote. So it is him on video, just not him speaking. And maybe he's using an AI version of his voice, but it talks exactly like a person, not an AI. So very well could be he records the voiceover, then has the AI make the mouth movements for his actual voice because he mispronounces words as if he was a person, or
Okay.
he'll stumble or stutter on something where I know an AI wouldn't. And so I'm like, it really sounds like he's reading it, but it doesn't match his mouth.
Yeah.
And the breathing is different because you can see when a breath is taken, and it isn't the same on the video as it is in the audio. But
Right.
so there's something off. So luckily, what is that? That Turing test or whatever? Like
Yep.
my brain tells me it's not quite right.
Yeah.
It's close enough that I'm okay to watch it because it's got some
Right.
interesting content. But I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I think that's where we're headed. I'm just kind of surprised we're heading there already. That seems like that was going to be a couple years away. And again, the
right,
technology that I am seeing, at least what they're portraying, on their landing pages, trying to get you to sign up,
right,
seems pretty good. I mean,
right.
it's
And I'm telling
surprising
you,
how
I
good it
can
is.
crank out some content because then I could just type out everything I want. And instead of typing it out and then warming up my voice and then getting the camera ready and putting the lights and then doing the stuff and then
Yeah.
saying the thing and then doing it and recording it and then editing it and then putting it, dude, if I could just say it and then the AI makes me say it in the thing where I go, let me get a video of me in this room
Yeah.
in my other office with the blue and the stuff with the backlights and the stuff. And I go, there is the video. I can now make 15 or 20 videos from that video.
Right. Well, and the way I'm looking at it is like, what about saying the same basic things, but going after different target markets with your different avatars? So maybe I want to go after, maybe I want a woman avatar to go after a different market, but it's the same kind of thing that I'm selling. And I can go after men or use a male avatar for different things. Like between subtly altering the script and having a different avatar,
Right.
it's stuff that we couldn't do. It's stuff that a small company couldn't do 5 years
Oh,
ago.
sure.
But
No,
we're entering a space, an age where
for a couple hundred a
success
month.
is right. Success is, I think, attainable, a lot more attainable than it was 5, 10 years ago. So
Right.
it's a different way, but the
Well,
barrier to entry is much lower.
yes. And I think it's beneficial to us small people. And by small, I don't mean size. I mean volume wise, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now we can increase our volume of content
Right.
without having to hire an entire team of people. We can leverage and then produce more because you well, and we kind of talked about this before.
Yeah.
Us finding and reaching our audience is the most important thing. How do we reach the audience? And so in order to do that, so many of these places have gateways and they're like, well, if you want to reach more people, then you have to pay.
Right.
And it's like, God, I could pay and then reach more people through their pay gate, or I already get 2 to 6 or 800 per piece of content that I post. Now I'd love to get 4 or 5, 8, 10,000 each
Right.
one, and I
Right.
could pay for each post I make, pay them money to do it, or 10x my posts. If I
Right.
10x the content, I still 10x the reach. So which makes more sense? Paying to have them push it out to 10 times more people
Yeah.
or 10xing the amount of content I'm putting out. Well, if I can leverage an AI to do most of that content creation or carve out to post, now it gets us back in the game without having to pay to play.
Yeah. And think about mixing that AI twin with and having being able to create a lot of content with using something like Firecut, where it's adding in B-roll automatically, and which is actually, I think, really important for like an AI twin video, because it's going to
Uh-huh.
help mask those
Right.
weird. Because if you're just staring at something for 30 seconds, 2 minutes, you're probably going to be like, I think that's, like you've said, there's something a little off there. But if
Uh-huh.
you mask that with B-roll,
Oh
and it's just
man.
maybe a few seconds at the beginning and a few seconds here and there, I don't know that people will be able to tell.
Dude, I'm not kidding you. If I spent my time making B-roll of me that I could then put in
Oh my
as
gosh.
that
Yeah.
tie-in. Then they'd see a face talking into the camera, and then it'd cut to me doing and messing with stuff and doing the thing, and they would be like, "Nope, that's a video. That makes
Yeah.
sense." And it would take me so much less time because when I'm cutting B-roll or recording B-roll of myself doing things, I will set up the camera and be like, I'm going to do desk stuff. And you taught me how to do that. You do wide desk stuff, medium desk stuff, close-up desk stuff. And then you put it and compile all that and you got it now.
Yeah.
Well, if I can do that, put it all into folders, that Firecut, it's in beta right now, but being like, put your own personal stuff in here and we'll add your B-roll into the videos. Well, as that AI through the beta testing and everything gets better and better and better, it's probably going to be like, oh, by the way, you're going to want to put in the meta all of these terms or whatever, or maybe they are creating an AI that watches the video and then determines what's in it. I don't know what they're doing. Either way, I just need to figure out what it is they're doing so that I can feed it what it wants to eat so that it can produce the thing that we're looking for.
Are you using Premiere Pro Beta?
No.
Okay. That is what has that. Remember the tool we were talking about a couple weeks ago where it looks at your B-roll, looks at your footage, and it looks and sees what is in it. You don't have to enter in your metadata.
Okay.
That is in Premiere Pro Beta. So
you
have access to it.
Oh, I have access to it. I have it and I had it. And then I did so much with it because I friggin' love it. Oh, I'm using regular Premiere now and I hate it because like I'd go in and do the audio and be like, please just clean up the audio. And it would. And I'd be like, clean up the lighting. And it would. And I just tell the AI what I'm looking for and it would do it. And then I tweak it a little bit and I'm there. But it would get me 90% of the way there without me having to go, oh, there's too much blue. Nope. Oh, okay, not curves. What am I supposed to be doing? And I'd have to go in and do all this other stuff. Well, now it was so much easier, but then it kept crashing. And I updated it like as much as I could, and it just kept crashing. So I finally deleted it off. It pissed me off because I would do it, finish the video, and then go to export the video, and it would take 20 hours. And I'm like, God, 20 hours, a long time. And it would go to 19 hours, 98 minutes, and then it would go, and it would crash, and then it wouldn't export it. And I'd be like, oh, God. I was infuriating.
Were you exporting through Premiere or were you exporting through Media Encoder?
No, through Premiere. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, I'll walk you through that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you've explained that, like do it all and then put it into the thing so that oh my God. So I need you to help me also with the fact that I can go directly from Premiere directly to YouTube, schedule it and everything. And I can go directly to TikTok. Well, I signed up to YouTube. It did it. I did it to the TikTok. It didn't. I don't know where it went, but it didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm doing. So I need some help there. But I'm like, oh my God, it's got a built-in feature where it sends it out to all of the thing. So I can do the video, do the stuff, export it, and then have it export possibly through Media Encoder to go to all of those places after hours when I'm gone and it doesn't bog down my computer.
Right.
Oh my God, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Well, using Media Encoder is, that's the way to go. And you can have it post different places. I can't say it's been
a while.
It's been probably 15 years since I've done that. That's been a feature for a long, long time.
Oh,
but
okay. Well, anyway, I would like that.
Yeah.
And I've got the, I was using Opus. Like I almost stopped using it because I didn't need it. I was putting in the captions and doing everything and then doing it. I need to tweak the captions because I liked the way I have them. And it's an altered version of Hermosi.
Okay.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's where it makes the word like light up. In green as you do it, but I want them to pop. I want them to get a little bit bigger each time it says that word, and it's not doing that. But I know there's the ability to do it in the settings. I'll just have to have you walk me through it. My trouble is I'll open it up, go to advanced, and then it opens up 90 settings, and I'm like, whoop, not advanced.
No.
I go back out because I'm like, I will screw it up for sure.
Yeah.
I watched the videos on how to do it. They make it look real easy, but then, it's all still in beta. So the video they recorded was 3 months ago. They've updated the thing to be even more user-friendly, but because it doesn't match exactly, I'm lost because I don't understand the fundamentals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say that I'm a quick learner, and that's really just because I'm not afraid to break things. That's why we have
Because
backups.
that's because too, like, you know how to go back to a previous version and restore. I
Right.
don't. I'm like, well, need a new computer.
Yep. Put it in the trash.
Right. Once it's
Oh
cracked,
man.
done.
Well, so we'll hop into Fire Cut in the
Okay,
after hours, and then
cool.
we'll start working on some of the details of the book that we're going to be co-authoring.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to talk about
lay
that too.
lay a foundation for that. Yeah. So
Thanks for
yeah,
listening.
yeah. Hey, New Zealand, thank you for listening to us.
Yes, sir.
And the one person in Canada, no. Uh, but
There
yeah,
might
I
be
guess
some.
I guess until next week, mind your business. Hey, thanks for listening to the Minding Your Business podcast. Your hosts are Aaron Jarrels and me, CJ Jolliff. If you want to find out more about us or when we're going live or follow us on socials, just go to our website, mybpodcast.com. And again, thank you so much for listening.